like a stream, carries our burdens away. Never despair, joys everywhere. Love can befriend you today. Free from all care, like birds on the air, soar above griefs and worries, sing joy and be gay.
Open another brings a great world, worldly ambitions defy. Sometimes a friend helps us ascend up from life's cares to the sky. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us through life to draw nigh.
Life is a dream,
Time like a stream carries our burdens away. Never despair, joys everywhere. Love can befriend you today. Free from all care, like birds on the air, soar above griefs and worries, sing joy and be gay. Open on earth, things of great worth, worldly ambitions defy. Sometimes a friend helps us ascend up from life's cares to the sky. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. Love is a star, though shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh.
So, could you feel a difference, or can you feel a difference in the energy now? Just in how you yourself are feeling. I can see the difference. And you see, we had a sort of two aspects to that experience. One was to raise the energy, and the other was to draw it inward. When we bring, so much of our life is about energy going outward, through our words, through our actions. The whole world around us attracts us to put that energy outward. It's not wrong. It's a part of living. But we also need to balance that by spending time keeping that energy or directing that energy inward to replenish ourselves. This happens passively in sleep. That sort of, we spend a portion of the day just passed out, trying to recharge ourselves. But as I said, that's passive, and so we don't get nearly as much rejuvenation from it as we can with a little bit of active relaxation, active driving the energy inward. This happens to us also naturally in illness. It's actually a positive aspect of illness, is that it forces us to withdraw into ourselves. If we've lived too much at our periphery, just giving beyond our capacity even to give, we have to remember that it is not our job to keep the planet rotating. It will rotate, and we might as well just take a little bit of a break and maybe let someone else spin it for a while. And so if we don't take the hint, then God says, now you're tired. And then we start to say, it's okay, I'm tired, but I can, no, it's all right, I can do it. And then God says, okay, now you're sick. And so we, it's okay, I know I have a fever, but I'll get through it. And then God says, now you're dead. And so then we get the hint. So it's better to pick it up sooner, so we could keep going on and learn more lessons. But it's true, when you find yourself, there's a saying, when you find that you have dug yourself into a deep pit, step number 1 is to stop digging. And so this is what we have to do, and look at ourselves, not critically. There is no purpose or no point in looking at anything we're doing with criticism. We should look at ways to encourage ourselves, to find ways to cheer ourselves up, to motivate ourselves. Much more energy comes with positivity than with negativity. It's true, sometimes a little bit of, force or being stern with ourselves is required. But chances are we have enough of that internally and externally already. And so that encouragement, that positive, cheerful expectation is much more dynamic and much more accurate to our actual present state of reality and awareness. Now, when we speak of achieving glowing health and vitality, it's important to notice, especially if you've been to any of our programs before, that this is not strictly about healing. You see, when we think of health, we often health is equated with that state when I am not ill. The absence of illness is health. And listen, the absence of illness is a good place to start. However, that's very much a bare minimum. And sometimes we're not even aware of the drains on our energy that are present only because there's no fever, there's no cough, or there's no, all the arms are still attached and fingers too, and so I guess I'm okay, so I must be healthy. As we start to change our way of living, we start to find, whether it's in diet or in exercise or in attitude or a different job or a different transit of shani in our chart or who knows what, suddenly we find, I feel so much better than I used to. And that now I feel more energetic, more awake, more healthy. This often happens when you take up the practice of meditation. And then, what was my life before? It was just a shadow, even though I thought it was health. And hopefully, that kind of experience continues on through the rest of our life. We keep improving. We keep upgrading. We keep getting more and more positive. There was a man during World War II who had the affirmation, in every day and in every way I am getting better and better. And this was his affirmation that kept him positive and kept him strong. And then he was living in France, I should say, in Paris, which was occupied by the Germans, the Nazis at that time. And in fact, this man was involved with the underground resistance movement. That was sort of his side job. When he wasn't affirming this positive thing, he was working underground in secrecy. And then in his office one day, word came to him that the Nazis had caught him, found out where he was working, and they were coming into the building looking for him. So somebody told him and ran away. And so he thought to himself, of course, his initial instinct was fear and panic. And then he thought, out of habit, in every day and in every way, I am getting better and better. And that might seem a little bit ridiculous to do in a situation like that. I mean, it was fairly safe on one hand. In every day, every way, I'm getting better and better because this is my last day. But actually, no, he was thinking positively, what can I do? Instead of just hiding in the office, he went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, he combed his hair in a different way, he took off his glasses, he could barely see without them, and he had a jacket on, which he took off and as much as possible tried to change his appearance, and then he just walked down the stairs. And as he got down the stairs to the lobby, he saw all the German police all there starting to search, and he went up to someone who looked to be in charge, and he said, "Enache," or something French equivalent. And the man said, "We're looking for this person, and he looks like this," and so on. And he said, "Oh, I think I just saw him upstairs." And they said, "What?" And they ran upstairs, and he walked out the front door. And so affirmations are so crucial for shifting our perspective, for raising our energy and directing it. In fact, I wanted to give the first affirmation related to healing that Yoganandaji gives. A lot of what I'm going to be sharing is from this book of Yoganandaji's with the same title, How to Achieve Glowing Health and Vitality. And so I should mention, we do have this book for sale if you want the book itself. Also, if you've given us your email address, we will email you a lot of notes and techniques from the workshop. So rather than printed papers and all that, which are a little bit cumbersome, if you've given us the email, or if you haven't, but you gave us your phone number, then if through WhatsApp you can send us your email address, because we'll write to you first. We'll give you a whole list of things that you can practice. So just keep that in mind. So this affirmation he gives us to draw on limitless cosmic energy. I'll read it through once, and then let's practice it together. Right beneath the flesh is a tremendous current. By the pickaxes of self-realization, I have found that life force again. I and my Father are one. I am not the flesh. I am a bundle of electricity behind this body. Okay, so let's repeat this first in a loud voice. Right beneath the flesh, is a tremendous current, by the pickaxes of self-realization. I have found that life force again. I and my Father are one. I am not the flesh. I am a bundle of electricity behind this body. Right beneath the flesh is a tremendous current, by the pickaxes of self-realization. I have found that life force again. I and my Father are one. I am not the flesh. I am a bundle of electricity behind this body. So that last line is crucial. I am a bundle of electricity behind this body. Now, how do we know that to be true? Is it true? Yoganandaji said it, so the safe bet is it's true. But what do we know from our own experience or other sources that would back up this claim? Well, first of all, we're fortunate to be living at a time now when science has discovered that matter is essentially energy. We know that all matter, everything physical that we see, smell, taste, and touch, is made up of atoms, but those atoms are actually composed of different energies. That's the only word for them. Also, Einstein's theory of relativity implies that E equals mc squared, that energy is the same existence, the same reality as matter. Now, more than just hearing about it from physics and saying abadiya, because how many of us have really confirmed Einstein's, theory? I don't know if over breakfast you were working it out. I certainly haven't. But for us we experience that energy is the more fundamental reality. We experience that, for example, in the widespread use of electricity, that the same electricity powers the AC, it powers the light, it powers the cell phone even, it powers the video camera, all these the same force is manifesting in all these different ways. We also feel the presence of energy and electricity when it goes away. Suddenly, everything is nice and quiet and hot. And so we know also when we have more energy, we do better work. We get along better with other people. And when we have low energy, we feel sort of imposed on by people. We feel, I don't have much left to give, and I've had enough of whatever I've received, and I just need a break, because we're low on energy. Also, our automobiles, our vehicles are a perfect example of that. They need fuel to keep going. But it isn't the gas literally, it's the gas turned into fire and everything, the internal combustion energy, let's keep the combustion internal, please, not external, that helps us to travel in these things. And so we understand energy without even really knowing what it is. I mean, what can we say energy is? There's really no good definition of it. You can say, energy is the capacity to transform a certain amount of, doesn't make any sense. There's no point to it. Really, energy is just there. It's fundamental. And so we know from physics that all matter is composed of energy. So even we, or even more properly, this body, which actually the body isn't ourselves, but even if it were, the body itself is not essentially physical. It is made of energy. But we can go further than this, specifically to the body, because we see our body more or less as a static object. It starts to grow taller and taller and taller as we get older and older from childhood. Then as we reach a certain age, it starts to grow in other directions. And so the body, we see it sort of changing size or shape, but otherwise we think of it in any given moment as static, as just this thing that I'm walking around in. But our body is constantly changing. There are many cells, of course, billions of cells in the body, and many of them are dying off. They've been used up. Their life has come and gone. And many cells are being born out of bone marrow or wherever else constantly. Blood cells, of course, are. We see that when we cut our finger and then cells rush in to stop the bleeding. I'm always grateful for that when that happens. Thank you to all the whatever they're called. What are they called? The clotting agent. Sorry. The white blood cells, but are they, what clots, platelets, hemoglobin, a lot of good words, yeah. That whatever it is that does the healing of the wound, that stop the bleeding. Now, this body is constantly changing. Cells are going, new cells are coming, and yet we don't notice it. You don't, when you're seeing your friend and talking, you don't suddenly see some growth coming out of the side of their face. It's usually the same face that you were looking at 5 minutes ago. But, you see, there is a pattern. Whether it's DNA, whether it's mitosis, whatever it is, the cells are being rebuilt in a certain pattern to keep you looking more or less the way you look. And so that pattern is more who you are than the body at any given moment. Your fundamental reality is the pattern, the recipe that says build the body and maintain it in this way. The body itself, you take a photograph and by the time it's gone, some cells have died and some new cells are born. So the actual, if you labeled each cell and numbered them, you'd lose a few, and then you'd have to number the new ones that just came out. So it's very interesting to then think of ourselves as a dynamic being. And that leads us to the obvious conclusion that if we can work with that pattern, the blueprint, the recipe, change the recipe a little bit, add a little extra lady finger, a little less pavakai. That, or maybe not lady finger, maybe Meiserpak, but something. Then we can effect changes more dramatically outwardly. This is one explanation, according to biology, how some of the miraculous healings have occurred. There's a wonderful story of a woman named Anita Moorjani, who was dying of cancer, and she had her body was just filled with cancer. She had, cancer tumors the size of lemons, she said, and not the lemons you get in the store, the big lemons. And so she said that she had a near-death experience. She wrote a book called Dying to Be Me. And she talked of this near-death experience where that in itself is fascinating. But when she came back, she knew that she would be healed. And the doctors said that, well, we're amazed that she died, we're amazed that she came back, but there's no hope for her. Stage 4, everything. And in the course of a week, all of those tumors disappeared. They had been growing for years. Many years. And so that's why it was caught way too late. But they all shrunk and disappeared. And so we can't understand that if we look at it in terms of traditional outward medicine, which has its place. But in this case, it was working with that energy pattern. I don't know that she was doing it consciously, but that pattern was directed, stop growing the cancer. Grow healthy cells instead. So we should remember that really anything is possible as we can apply our minds and our willpower, which I'll talk about next. I want to mention, however, that even though it's true that behind the physical reality is the energy reality, that's what I've been saying. Behind that, subtler than that, is our reality as a magnetic being. Magnetism is even a subtler power. I may talk a little bit about that if we have time. And behind even that is the spiritual reality. And this is the truth. However, we have to also recognize what level of awareness and realization we are at. So it doesn't make any sense to break your arm and then say, Om. Oh, try to get the arm to work again. Just go to the hospital. It's okay to have the arm set and fixed. We know how to repair bones and things like that. And Swami Kriyananda himself was a bit of a medical miracle in terms of all the different things he had gone through and survived. But he said, I would have loved to, for example, only taken natural medicines or only followed Ayurveda. But he said there were some things that the only way to cure them, whether it was something to do with his blood pressure or his heart or whatever, he tried everything, but the allopathic medicines, the drugs, did the best job and kept him alive. So we have to be practical. We have to think of both and rather than either or. We have to be practical in our idealism. It's true that if you can shift things at the spiritual level, everything can get cured. But can we do it? Bit by bit we can. But let's not overstep that, okay? Doctors have a very important role to play, and many are open to this kind of experience, subtler laws of healing, partly because if they've seen too many miracles that just can't be explained. Now it's kind of standard. A friend of mine had cancer. He, interestingly, had a near-death experience also and came back from it, and then he was, that cancer, he still had the markers for the cancer, even though the actual whatever it was went away. But he still had high, not PSA, but whatever the ratings are that track the cancer. And so every year he would get a test. And then one of the last tests that he had, the doctor said, it's all gone. There's nothing. It's not even you are within range. You're not even on the spectrum. And he said, you're doing some yoga and meditation. He knew, because he said, there's no way to explain this. So that must be the explanation. And my friend said, actually, yes. And my friend said, so do I come back and see you in 2 years? He said, no, you don't come back. There's no need to come back. So a lot can be changed with the mind. Now, having said that, I have one more claim to make. Glowing health and vitality do not necessarily, especially vitality, have to do with the condition of our body. Some saints, for example, are, very vital. They're full of God consciousness, and yet their bodies may not be well at all. Ramakrishna was in ecstasy, and yet he had throat cancer. That wasn't a reflection of any lacking on his part. As he openly said, it was him taking on the karma of his disciples. So we can't just say that if you have the right attitude, you will also have a healthy body. And even more dangerous, if someone has a poor health or a bad state of their physical condition, it must be their fault. That is not true. And so keep that in mind if it applies to you, and keep it in mind if it applies to someone you know. We never want to blame someone for their ill health. If nothing else, that invites the same condition onto ourselves. So for sheer self-preservation, let's try to help one another that way. So it isn't only that negative thinking produces illness, and so if someone has illness, they brought it on themselves by negative thinking. So that's not the teaching. Ramakrishna had this horrible, one of the most painful diseases you can have. And one of his disciples said, Master, how are you? And Ramakrishna said, the pain is night and day, My whole body feels like it's on fire. Every time I swallow, it's like I'm being electrocuted. As he went on describing this harrowing pain, the disciple started to feel greater and greater joy, greater and greater ecstasy rising up his spine. And finally, he said, "Master, please." He said, "Don't say any more. I know what you're feeling." And Ramakrishna said, "This fellow has found me out." You see, he wasn't having to bring his mind down to the body. Yoganandaji had this experience when they were moving a very heavy object, a 2-ton object, many men carrying it. It slipped and it fell and it crushed his foot. And instantly his face registered the pain. And then he said, I'll show you something. I'll bring my mind up here. And as soon as he did, the pain disappeared from his face. He could walk on the foot normally. Then he said, now I'll bring my mind back to the body. And they could see the result of that. And he couldn't even stand. He had to hold on to something. Then he brought his mind here again, and then he could walk. And so he was showing them how a master and how we can start to direct our consciousness more here, which is our soul nature, our true nature, that part of you that continues. The body stays here, but you go on. Again and again. And if you don't believe in reincarnation, it's not necessary to. But what we do notice is that we can draw great strength from within ourselves. And so how to do it? So as I said, one of the secrets is willpower. And what is willpower? I talked about it already in 2 ways, that it takes willpower to put energy out. I'm going to do it. Fine. And at the same time, we can think of willpower in a softer way as willingness. I want to do it. I'm happy to do it. I will cooperate with this new flow. It's not what I planned or what I would like, but I will go along with it. I am willing. Willpower, Yoganandaji defined as desire plus energy directed toward fulfillment. So desire plus energy. So already this brings up an interesting idea for us, that we first of all need energy. He gave us this example. He said, try to lift your arm without sending any energy to it to do so. Just say, I want to lift my arm. I really would like to. Venum. But if you don't exert any energy and to put any willpower out to send energy, nothing happens. Okay? The opposite is true too. What if we have all kinds of energy but no desire? Now, when would we ever experience that? When, for example, we're sitting down and we're having a nice tea and someone says, it's time to file the ITR. And so there's energy, but there's no will, there's no desire for that. But also we could go to a movie, out the door. And so we have to look at that within ourselves. When it's hard to do something, we have to say, where's my willpower? Either the desire is lacking or the energy is lacking. And so this can then help us to get the willpower going, because willpower is like putting the key in the ignition. It's what starts everything. Just that spark. If you've ever had this experience, it's very helpful to walk after a meal, for example. And so the bigger the meal, the better the walk will be. The problem is, the bigger the meal, the harder it seems to care about anything else, especially a movement. And so, but if you've had that experience, and luckily if you've had a friend who says, oh no, come on, let's go. Tell me about how your walk goes instead. And they say, oh no, come on, I wanted to tell you that thing that happened at office, and we kind of lift ourselves up out of the grave, and then we start to move. You may find in 2 minutes, I feel fine. I've had that experience myself on those times when I've made myself get up. Just the actual standing was the hardest act. And then left foot, right foot, and then off we go. And so that's that willpower, that spark that lights the fire, that fuels our engine. So remember that regarding willpower. Now, I want to share with you something Yoganandaji taught an exercise that we will practice now. Okay, so Yoganandaji says, mental unwillingness always brings a lack of bodily energy, while willingness always brings a fresh supply of energy. From these facts, we see the subtle relationship between energy and willpower. If we get into the practice of being willing, we can find much changes in our life. Especially if we're willing about something that we have to do anyway. Might as well just get it over with. So, we can, through willpower, direct energy to different parts of our body. He gives us this example of passive energization or passive tension in the body versus active tension with willpower. He says, take your left hand, place it on your right arm, okay, on the bicep, on the inside of your arm, like this. Okay? So here's the elbow bend, so right above that. So feel your arm there, and now bend your arm up, and feel how the muscle contracts, the muscle tightens. This is automatic. It's mechanical. It's just the way the muscle is attached to the bone. And so there is no willpower involved. Keeping your hand here and keeping your arm straight and relaxed, keeping your arm straight. Now, tense your arm muscle, your upper arm, without bending your arm. Okay? It's not a trick question or a quiz. You feel that, right? If you can't feel it, if it's kind of nothing, then try your lower arm. Some people feel it more easily in the lower arm. But you should feel your arm getting firmer, although it's feeling straight, because you're using willpower to tighten the arm muscles. Okay? So that is the difference between passive energization and active energization. This one you had to choose to do it. This one doesn't matter, it automatically happens. So when we consciously direct energy, it is much more vitalizing to the body. And so let's practice an exercise that he gave us. We are going to tense the body, and then as all the muscles that we can, and then we are going to relax it. But I want to describe first of all why, and then in what way to do it. Why would we tense? If the whole point is to release tension, why would we add tension? The reason is that we hold lots of tension in our bodies unconsciously. We don't realize that we're holding our bodies so tense. We might be walking around like this, and if we would look in a mirror, we would see something is odd. But we're so distracted with whatever thought is making us tense that we don't even realize it. And so, how do we relax the unconscious tension? Impossible. You can't relax something if you're not conscious of it. I mean, there's no way to know what to do, because by definition, it's unconscious. So this technique of Yoganandaji's, where we add tension and then we relax, what that does is when we first add tension and then we relax the tension we added plus the unconscious tension. It's hard to just say, okay, relax. We don't know how to do it. But if we say tense, then relax, then it's a double relaxation actually, okay? The way we're going to tense is low tension to medium tension to high tension, and then relax back, high tension to medium to low. This has two advantages. One is safety. We don't hurt ourselves. If you just suddenly jerk the tension, you can injure yourself. If you have enough willpower, good for you, but then it's time for the hospital. So better to do it low, medium, high. Also because that takes more awareness. It makes us be more conscious about what we're doing. And the more conscious we are, the more energy will flow to us. And so we're going to tense low, medium, high tension until we're even vibrating because we're tensing so much. And then we're going to relax in reverse. High, medium, low, zero. Okay? So gradually turning the knob of tension up and then gradually turning it back down. It's not a switch. Okay? So let's try that. Let's sit up straight. Excuse me. Let's roll the shoulders back. And now let's tense the body all over, low tension. So just slightly. Legs, feet, arms, stomach, chest, neck, everything you can, low tension. Now medium, increasing the tension. And now high tension, so much that even the muscles vibrate on their own. Don't try to vibrate them, but they may vibrate. And now let's relax back to medium tension, to low, to zero. Complete relaxation. Okay? So let's try this one more time. Tense low, medium, high tension, and then relax to back to medium, to low, to zero. Fully relax. All right, close your eyes for a moment. Now this time, let's try to feel what is happening. Let's, as Yoganandaji taught us, he said, tense with will, relax and feel. So let's again tense low with will, medium, high tension, and then relax and feel, medium, low, zero tension, and relax and feel. Eyes closed, because Yoganandaji said that protects us from losing energy through our eyes. He said much energy is lost through the eyes. And when we close the eyes, we conserve that energy, and it helps us to be more aware of what's going on inside. So feel how your body feels. One more time, let's tense low, medium, high tension, and then start to relax gradually, high, medium, low, zero. And feel again, how does the body feel? Okay, there are all kinds of observations you may make. The body may feel warmer, it may feel lighter, it may feel, some people say it feels heavier, sort of more strong, or it may feel, you may feel the blood circulation. That's also felt as warmth. But remember, especially for example, let's take blood circulation, though that is a physical symptom, it is caused by an energetic reality. You are helping the energy to flow better in your body, and the blood circulation is a reflection of that. So, whereas it's easy to feel the blood circulation, like if you put your hands together, you may notice that your hands are warmer than they were before. So in that case, take them apart because we're trying to stay cool. But the warmth in the palms indicates better circulation. That's the proof of it. And this is giving you the proof of energy circulation, because that's not so easy to feel at first. If you meditate a little bit, it becomes easier to feel because you're more aware of your inner state. That's really what meditation gives you, is what's this. In one of our schools that we have, we were teaching the children, and they had a quiet time after their playtime, both for their sake and the teacher's sake also. And so the one of the boys whose name was or is Hazi was lying on the floor and just kind of, and so the teacher kept going, shh, shh, come on now, it's time to, we're having our quiet time now. I'm bored, I want to do something. And so she just said, look, everybody else is resting and you don't want to disturb everybody else. And of course for, Hazi, it was, who cares? This is what I need. And so he finally came up to her and he said, I don't know what to do. I want to go outside. And she said, what we were just doing was playing outside, and you were seeing what was going on outside Hazi. But now the quiet time is to discover what is going on inside Hazi. And he went, and he went back. And that was it. He knew what to do. I don't know what he was doing, but he knew. There was a whole world in here. And so that's what a world we gain access to as we meditate. Now, Yoganandaji gave a few specific exercises, which I should mention too. But what I wanted to say first was that when we are tensing with will and relaxing and feeling, we are accomplishing another thing with our energy. One is that the relaxation, as I said, removes blockages to that energy. But on a subtler level, when we draw in energy, I should say that's what we are doing. On a subtler level, we are drawing in energy. When we tense with willpower, we are actually drawing cosmic energy, the yogis say, into our body through this part of our body. This is in the back of the head. It's called the medulla oblongata in Latin, I think it is. But anyway, it's the brain stem. This part of the brain, at the base of the brain, is the most sensitive part of our body. It's the only part of your body you can't replace. There is no medulla oblongata replacement surgery or transplant. Sorry, if that's what you need, that's it. Because it's too fundamental. It's actually the first structure formed when the body is formed. After the cells start to individuate, the first structure is the medulla. From there, the brain grows forward, the spine grows down. That's why you see a young baby through the ultrasound just looks like a little stick. It's the spine that you're seeing and the tiny brain. That's the beginning. But that first structure is the medulla oblongata. It is the root of our self-consciousness. And so this also is where energy is drawn into the body. In fact, the yogis call it the mouth of God. This might be the mouth of man, the mouth of the human mouth. This is the mouth of God. And if you take your hand and place it back here, you feel, there is a little bit of an indentation there. Who knows, maybe that's even a hint of something going inward, or even of a mouth itself. And so when we, through willpower, are aware of drawing energy into the body, then this will revitalize us. To some extent, we are drawing that energy unconsciously. That's why we're still here. We get some energy from food. We get some energy from oxygen. But how is it that yogis can fast, or different saints can go without food for months and stay alive? It's not because there's a secret stash of idli somewhere. There's something else. Divine Mother is giving them idli through the back of the head. And so we are able to draw in this power more and more consciously the more willpower we use. I should mention something since I brought up fasting. I might as well say it now. Fasting is something it can be very helpful. You do have to be careful while fasting. Some people are so eager to fast, but they can end up hurting themselves through excessive zeal. For example, Yoganandaji discouraged us from doing water fasting, meaning just having nothing but water. He said, if you're going to fast, have some fruit juices, make sure you have some vitamins and so on. It's good to do research on it before you do it. Only because you say, no, I'm a yogi and I don't need all of that. Well, you may be a yogi, but you may end up meeting the Mahayogi. And then and he'll say, what's the matter with you? So but on the other hand, a little bit of fasting, it's amazing, especially if you've never done it. That was an experience I had. Someone said, you should try fasting. And I said, yes, I should. Tell me how it goes for you. I wasn't interested in doing any kind of fasting. It's strange how we can get, weird little fears. I don't know what it was. But I went through a period of ill health where I had to fast. Not just because I wanted to or I was told to, but because the consequences were devastating if I didn't fast. So I had to eat very, very lightly, just a little bit of vegetable broth each day. And then I was so full afterwards. You know what was interesting about that? Because Yoganandaji often recommended, if you have a cold or other illnesses, if you fast, you will find you get cured much more quickly. In fact, you'll notice this about animals. If dogs or cats, for example, that we tend to observe more, are sick, that they will automatically stop eating. And then they will usually get well. And so in observing that with bodies that are a little bit similar to ours, I've never seen a crow fasting, so they must never get sick. But in terms of other animals, we see, okay, similar body to mine, a mammal at least, that if we are, that may help us get well. Yoganandaji also said fasting once a week or a few times a month gives your whole digestive apparatus a rest, because otherwise it gets no rest. Even better than getting a rest is that there are toxins that are built up in the body. There is undigested material, I won't go into too much more detail, inside the system, and when you fast, it gives your whole stomach, intestines, everything, the opportunity to flush all that stuff out. Because since it's not busy with other work, there's no fresh dosa coming to work on, it can do some house cleaning. Especially if you drink some lemon juice, for example, that will help cleanse the body. Anyway, there's a lot you can do. It's not very complicated. So anyway, I got sick. I had to fast. For 2 years, I had a sinus infection, off and on, that I tried everything for. I took allergy medicines. I took, what is it called, Carvol Plus, just sniffing the steam, the eucalyptus fumes and so on. I tried to sinus irrigation, salt water, everything, and I just kind of kept myself functional, but it never went away. And it would go away for 2 days, come back for the other 5 in a week. And so I just didn't know what to do. I couldn't find any correlation. If I eat dairy products, does that make it happen? If I look at dairy products, does that make it happen? What is causing it? I couldn't figure it out. I still haven't figured it out. But when I did that fasting, suddenly I was hit with like the flu or a viral fever. I don't think I had one because of the result at the end of it. My whole sinus, anyway, was all a disaster. But a few days later, it went away, and so did the sinus infection forever. I mean, knock on wood, I hope so. But till now, suddenly I've gone months without it, whereas before it was for 2 years, constant. So who knows? As I said, that was enforced fasting, that was enforced on me, but it had this side effect of a cure. So that's one testimonial I can give for fasting. It's worth a try. But again, do research and read about it so you're careful, and also watch yourself, because each body is different. And we have to be aware that even a general prescription for everyone may not work for us. And so we should always use common sense, and we should always remember that we can say, this is my body, this is what it's telling me, and so I'm going to follow that, rather than just the statistical advice. Yoganandaji gives this he says, the greatest way to bring healing is through the life force. The following exercises will be found to be immensely beneficial to any weak tissues or organs of the body, to heal any body part. So let's just assume, for example, we have a wounded leg. Our leg, we have some leg injury. Say it's your left leg. Imagine that it's your left leg. So he says, gently tense and relax the part. We were doing full tension, but obviously if you have an injured part, you're not going to want to do full tension. So give gentle tension to your leg. So try that, just sitting where you are. Try to tense your leg just gently enough to feel it. Maybe you can feel the tensing in the upper leg, the lower leg. You're suddenly aware of the muscles. And then he said, then relax. Now, second step, tense low and hold that tension, counting 1 to 10 mentally. So tense your legs slightly, and then now let's hold that tension, counting to 10. And now relax. Now let's do that one more time, and what Yoganandaji says is, while you're holding the tension, electrocute the disease with life force. You see, it's wonderful, the words he would use. Feel that I am sending energy throughout my leg. I like my leg. You know, when you have a hurt leg, sometimes you don't like it because it's causing all this trouble. And it doesn't do the leg any good to be hated. I mean, how do you think it feels? It's having this whole time to go around keeping us standing and so on. It's not the one that hurt itself, probably. And so try to appreciate your leg. Think grateful thoughts. Be glad that you have two, and so on. But if you're wondering, how do I send energy to my leg? I mean, what do I do? Like, zap it or something? Like, how do I send the energy? Here's the key. Try to be aware of how your leg feels. Energy follows awareness. If you feel your leg, I'm aware how tight it is. I'm aware that it's sore. I'm aware that it's bent. I feel the chair under my thigh. I feel the floor under my foot. If you can put your awareness there, your energy automatically flows after your awareness. Okay? That's the simple rule. So try to be aware of your leg. So as we tense our leg, let's tense it now, just low tension. Also try to feel all your awareness in the leg. Feel energy flowing to your leg. And as Yoganandaji said, electrocuting the disease, healing the leg, making it strong. And now relax. Okay, so you can do this with any body part. It's easier with the external parts of the body, but even the organs. If you're vaguely aware of where your gallbladder is, if it hurts, it's easy to be aware. If it does hurt, it hurts right there, so you know where it is. So again, you might just tense the muscles on that side of your abdomen or upper abdomen and feel that I'm actually sending energy to the gallbladder and so on. This can be very beneficial in addition to other therapies. But you could be in a hospital bed, not able to even stand up, and you could still do this exercise. It can be very, very helpful. Specific exercise. I'll show you this one because it'll be too complicated to have you do it with me. But to strengthen the knees, Yoganandaji said, first, stand up on the balls of your feet, the front of your feet. I'm standing basically on my toes. And then he said, come down quickly into a seated position. And then he said, come up quickly again. So this is not Utkatasana, if you know that asana where you sort of go down. This is about where the knees will give out. So you're not trying to go slowly, but if you go quickly, make sure you can. So if you say, my knees are so bad that if I do that once, that's it, forever. So don't. But if your knees are not in such shape, again, this is very strengthening for them, this kind of movement. Going down quickly, because... Why quickly? Because it doesn't put any strain on them. The strain is in the bending, and so we try to make the bending quick, so it's not hurting the knees, okay? Trust your body. If it says, then there are other exercises. But, don't be shy also. Try to be bold in your experimentation. Okay, so this is fun. A throat exercise for getting rid of colds and for stimulating the vocal cords. He says, with the mouth closed, roll your tongue backwards and forwards. So with my mouth open, I will show you, it would be like this. So the tongue goes up the roof of the mouth and then comes back down. But the mouth is going to be closed, so you won't be, there won't be seeing anything. But I just was exaggerating it so you could see. So the tongue sweeps up and down 4 times, all right? So let's try that. Then, he says, put the chin on the chest and tense the front of the neck. And then the next step is that we lift the chin with tension. We lift it all the way up, and then we exhale and relax, bringing the chin down. So tensing the front of the neck, tense, and then lift the chin, lift the neck, the head rather, and then relax all tension and gently bring the head down. So just to be clear, you're tensing up, relaxing down, okay? So he says to do this twice. So we did that twice, but let's do it one more time. Tensing up, relaxing down. It's amazing how strengthening the neck and the throat can get rid of a lot of airborne diseases. It's sort of like they pass in and they get stopped at the gate, and then they just go out. Swami Kriyananda tells the experience that he had of he was driving across a city trying to get to a class. He was working very hard at that time in his life, teaching 7 classes in 7 different cities, 6 classes in 6 different cities every day of the week for a year and a half. Very difficult, doing it all himself. And he was driving to one class, and suddenly he felt a cold come over him just immediately. Instantly his nose started running. He got that sort of thick, heavy-headed feeling that we get, and he thought to himself, but I simply can't afford to get sick right now, because there was no backup system, and he had this whole itinerary, and he just, right to the cold, he just said, get out! And he said, instantly, it just went. And so I have tried that myself with varying degrees of success, I have to confess. But sometimes it has worked, even for me. And it's partly because when I said get out, I meant it. Other times I said, get out? Because I thought, if I get sick, I'll at least get a few days off. So, sometimes, unfortunately, that is the only way we take a break. So, now, this one is fun. For increasing brain power, he says, exhale. First, I'll read you the whole thing through. Exhale and hold the breath out. Contract the muscles of the head gently, holding full concentration there. So like this. So we'll be tensing. It's easy to tense the forehead. You can try to tense the other muscles of the head. That takes a little more awareness. But at least you can tense the eyebrows. And if you're looking at me going, huh? That's right. That's how it's supposed to be. The confused look is the right look in this case. We're tensing the eyebrows, and we are counting 1 to 5 while we hold our concentration there. And then he says, inhale and release the contraction on the head. So let's try it together. Exhale, hold the breath out, and then contract the muscles of the head while you're holding the breath for 5 counts. And now relax and inhale. Exhale again, all the way out, relax. Hold the breath out, tense the head, concentrate at the eyebrows or just above the eyebrows, the middle of them. Now inhale, relax. Exhale, hold the breath out, tense the eyebrows, tense the head, concentrate at the spiritual eye in the center of the forehead. Then relax, inhale. One more time. Exhale fully. Hold the breath out. Don't breathe. Tense. And then relax and inhale. Okay. This is the one I really want you to remember, and it's easy because it uses the whole body. We are going to do the tensing of the full body the way that we did. Sorry, my phone is telling me of the time here. We're going to tense the whole body the way we did before, low, medium, high tension, except we are going to do a particular breath with it, a particular way of breathing. And so what we're going to do is what Yoganandaji called a double breath, which is like this. It's a double inhale through the nose, a double exhale through the mouth. Short, long, and then short, long. So if we were to say it, it would be like, You see, it's short and long. Because some people will just go, double breath. So, and then again, so that's ha is the double breath out. Okay? Don't say it. That's just an example. So we do okay? Okay, this double breath, as opposed to a normal breath, has the effect of bringing in more oxygen than a usual breath, and it releases more carbon dioxide than a usual exhalation. Some people say, but breath is always better done through the nose, so why don't we do double exhale through the nose as well? And I would say, Yoganandaji taught it this way because you can get out more breath. Also, double exhale through the nose is a little bit dangerous at times. So, better to do it through the mouth. So, let's try it one more time. Very good. Now, we're going to combine that with the tension. We're going to tense the whole body, low, medium, high, vibrate, and also do the double inhale. Then we're going to hold the breath for a moment, tensed, and then we are going to go and relax the body, high, medium, low, 0. Okay? So let's try that. In fact, for this one, why don't we stand up so you can more easily feel your whole body. Let's inhale with a double breath and tense low, medium, high. Okay, so hold the breath, and then as you throw the breath out, relax. High, medium, low, 0. One more time. Tense slowly, breathe in. Vibrate, and then exhale. And relax. Now, it's easier to tense low, medium, high as we breathe in, but then when we breathe out, there is a temptation to go and just drop all the tension from high to 0. And so resist that temptation. You can breathe out, but allow yourself to only gradually release the tension. Release the temptation, but release the tension. Okay, so let's try it. Inhale, tense, low, medium, high, filling the body with prana, and then exhale, slowly relax. Very good. One more time. I want to teach you one more exercise since we're standing. That's an extension of this one. I want to warn you, because of your proximity to one another, the movement of the exercise is like this. So you're going to have to just be a little aware. I would like to say spread out, but there's nowhere to spread out to. So just be aware. And if you think it's unfair of me to teach you this, the one I want to teach you is this one. And that either is hopeless. So at least we'll try this little more condensed one. So starting in this position with our shoulder, a straight arm, not a bent arm, but a straight arm, we're going to bend the knees and bring the arms together. And then we're going to stand up and bring the arms apart. Okay, so we come down like this, we come up like this. Now, what we're actually going to do is relax as we come down, but then tense as we come up, tensing the arms, opening up. Tense the whole body, actually, not just the arms. Then relax down. So tense up, relax down. And you can hear this breathing going on, which is of all the psychic people, because what I'm about to say next is that when we come down, you want to breathe out through your mouth. And when we come up, you want to breathe in. So we breathe in, up, we exhale out, down. Inhale up, exhale down. So let's exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale. Tense up, relax down. One more time. Very good. There was a disciple of Yogananda's who was doing this exercise thinking of the cosmic prana that comes in through the medulla oblongata. And as he was doing it, he said, "Pump it in, Divine Mother, pump it in." And so that's a good attitude to have, that we just say, I want to be filled with this energy. I want it. That's willingness. Okay, please be seated. Just before we close, okay. I I wanted to touch briefly on a few teachings beyond this one. This is the central one. This tensing the body, not the one we did with the bent arms. That's good too, but just this one. Yoganandaji said, this is an exercise we teach all the time, and it's sort of crucial. It's the centerpiece of the energization exercises, and we often advise people, listen, if you learn only one exercise, let it be this one, because it is so strengthening to the body. The rest of the 39 exercises that Yoganandaji taught, we do teach. He called them the energization exercises for recharging the body battery. He said, give your body a breakfast of energy, which you can do so. The whole set of exercises takes about 12 minutes to do. So it's very easy, and those of you who practice them know the benefit that they give. They're especially helpful also for meditation. So if you're looking to start a meditation practice, or you have a meditation practice, but you're wanting to boost it up a little bit, the energization exercises give you that fuel to then be able to meditate with more concentration, less tension, and less distraction. Less. Not zero, but less. And so this exercise, Yoganandaji said, is for the healing of the nerves. Very interesting. And remember, why the nerves? Why are they so important? Well, we have a friend, Nayaswami Haridas, who leads the Ananda Center in Bangalore. He said, when the nerves are shot, they become first priority. Because we can do a lot, but when our nerves go, when our mental equilibrium goes, when we are at the edge of burnout, it's time to just stop. Because there's nothing more we can do until we regather ourselves. And we don't want to ever push it past that point. Then we say things we don't mean, well, all kinds of messes come. So it's so good for healing the nerves in the moment, not just at the end of the journey. So remember this exercise for that. To broaden it now a little bit, I wanted to just read a few suggestions from Swami Kriyananda that I'll send you the whole list. In fact, this is a fascinating little book. It's called The Secrets of Radiant Health and Well-Being. So very similar to glowing health and vitality. And this is actually 31 sayings. It's one for each day of the month. So that you could, if you wanted to, in this next month, say the month of May coming up, but you can start now even, having one suggestion each day and really reading it, trying to follow it, trying to think about it, how you can implement it in your life. So, the secret of radiant health and well-being is, day 1, proper diet, eating foods that are rich in vitality, studying proper food combinations. Food combinations, actually it's not helpful to eat certain foods that are fine in themselves if you eat them together. One example is starch and protein. So if you have nice nut butter, like peanut butter, and put it on a piece of bread, it's not helpful for your body because it's two different parts of your body that digest starches versus proteins, and in this case they kind of conflict with each other. And so even though they can do it, it's hard on the body. So anyway, there's a whole science to it. You can study it if you're interested. It's a little sad if you like peanut butter on bread, like I do. But on the other hand, it's nice to feel better. And I have to tell you, Master said, most people dig their own graves with their knife and fork. And you could say, but I don't use knife and fork. Okay, but still, be careful. So, continuing on in this thought, studying proper food combinations, not overeating. If possible, eat in a harmonious environment, not in places where there is discord. That's why people say, let's have peace at the dinner table. It's not just for the sake of the nerves, it's for the sake of the food and the digestion. It's good to be in a soothing environment. Never overeat. Rather, make it a practice to leave the table feeling that you could have eaten more. We already talked about proper posture and straight spine. We talked a little bit about breathing. We've talked about energization. So, another secret of radiant health and well-being is impersonal love, which brings the body into perfect harmony. Love develops of itself once the pettiness of self-love has been renounced. This is something that Swami Sri Yukteswar, Yoganandaji's guru, said. He said, you cannot put one foot in front of the other on the spiritual path without first developing the heart's natural love. Which, in other words, you can do. The point is that it is natural for the heart to love. It is instinctive. That's why you see little children going, it's not that they want to be lifted up so they can get at the cookies. It's that they want to feel that closeness. That is our own nature. So when we find that it isn't, when we're not in a particularly loving mood, or we see someone who seems to have studied what the opposite of love is and is practicing it with vigor, then we have to say something is unnatural. There must be it's almost always because the person is either hurt or afraid of being hurt. It always comes down to those two things. Sometimes you can say they're either afraid or they're angry, but why are they angry? Because they're hurt. So it helps us in understanding why this person is so unreasonable, and because it's the heart's nature to love. But rather than worrying too much about them, except to maybe send a healing prayer, let's work on developing our own natural love of the heart. You could say, well, what does this have to do with radiant health and well-being? Sri Yukteswarji said, such a strength of life force flow is generated just from loving that he said all inharmonies are automatically destroyed. Master said any germs that come near you will be electrocuted. Again, using that word. The stronger the flow of energy in your spine, the greater your magnetic field, your protective aura. Just like in a wire, electrical flow, right-hand rule, causes a magnetic field around the wire. Your magnetic field is your aura. Some people can see auras, but the purpose of the aura is to act as a buffer, as a wall of protection. When the aura is thin, or when it has a little opening in it, that's how things get to us. So the simplest way to strengthen your aura is to strengthen your energy. And nothing raises the energy more quickly than just sharing love. It doesn't have to be personal. You don't have to find somebody, I got to love somebody. What's your name? It doesn't have to be like that. But you can feel love for God. You can think of a relative and offer your love and gratitude to them. But that upward flow will not only help you physically, but will help you on much greater levels of reality too. And finally, this is important. One of the secrets to radiant health and well-being is good company. Mix with generous, energetic, deeply concerned individuals. Avoid the company of talking zombies. For the company you keep can either magnetize you or else rob you of all magnetism. Swamiji added in another place, shun the company of people who are critical or insecure. Now that's interesting, two things to mention. Critical we can understand more easily perhaps because no one likes being criticized. Enough little pokes or zaps and pakalam. But for insecure, it seems like, well, maybe that's that person's problem, that they're insecure or whatever, but why should I avoid them? Obviously, if it's your child or a close friend, you want to do what you can to help them. I don't mean like, you're insecure and you run away. And I'm insecure too. But the point is, when there is a deep, negative, inward turning energy, there is only so much you can do for that person. Do everything you can. But at a certain point, they have to draw themselves up by their own bootstraps, so to speak, or their own chappals, in this case. Some people, Swamiji said, are bottomless pits, no matter how much you pour into them, until they themselves want to change. It's going to have to be they who develop their own strength. So do what you can. We should never turn a cold shoulder. But when we've been doing just the opposite, practically pumping our own blood into the other person, only to see them saying, "Do you have any more?" then it's time to just let them take whatever we've given and let them digest it. Let them work on it. Okay? They will grow. They will. And you can add prayers from a distance. You can add prayers too to help. So, be very aware of that environment. What if you're stuck in an environment and you're stuck with such a person, and because you can't get away from them because they have the same home address as you, then remember, you don't have to be with them all the time. Even if they say you do, you don't. Master's most advanced disciple, his wife was a little bit crazy actually, and she hated anything spiritual. And she would never, even if she saw him meditate, she would come in and say, "Stop it!" And so he would just go to the bathroom. He would have to meditate in the bathroom. It's the only room she would leave him alone in. And so he made it work. And he was the most advanced disciple. You would think, oh yes, but surely he would have, well, no. Now, I don't want to be unfair to wives. To put it on another side of it, there was a man who became spiritual and decided that marriage was somehow unspiritual, and so he renounced his wife. And Yoganandaji said, it takes incarnations of good karma to have attracted such a good wife as she was. And he was very wrong to do that. So, we, as always, the truths have to be seen in all directions. We are going to end now. I wanted to just, do we have any coupons here, or one up here? Hopefully you received a coupon. I'm not seeing a bunch of them, but did you? Does anyone have a coupon for free dosa or something? No, there it is. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So see, this coupon that this gentleman is holding up, make sure you have one of those. If you'd like to visit our center, it has the address of the center, so that helps. Also the phone number. Thank you. And so the reason I say coupon is because if you'd like to take a meditation class, this coupon will give you 100 rupees off the class. That the price of the class includes the textbook, which, as I said, is available in English or in Tamil, and also handouts, and also we send you a recording to support you in your meditation. If you've given us your phone number or email, we will send you also a recording of today's program in case you'd like to listen to it again, or if there's some part that you missed or whatever. And also, as I said, extra tips from Yoganandaji and exercises that I couldn't go into in detail as thoroughly, but you'll have it all written down. But in any case, we're so glad you could join us tonight. Thank you very much.